Hello everybody and welcome back to Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hosler, as always with Cool Stuff Inc. And this is Combo Goblins. I love this deck. Honestly, I have not found a deck in Modern that I have been this excited about for a very long time. Look, we're playing a Goblins deck. It's like every other Goblins deck. We play the Goblins. They don't cost much. They attack. That's what we do. But this is nothing like the other Goblin deck. We're not playing Goblin Grenades. We're not trying to aggro people out. No Bushwhackers here. It's all about the combo. Let me walk you through this. It's all made possible by Conspicuous Snoop. M21 card, 2 mana, you can play with the top card of your library revealed, cast Goblins from the top of your library, and if the top card is a Goblin card, it has all the activated abilities. This is insane. This card is absurdly good. Not only does it give you this ability to combo, which we'll get to in a minute, it's also just a card advantage engine. You get to play free spells off the... Well, not free, but you don't have to draw them. You get to play spells off the top of your deck. But let's talk about that combo. So Conspicuous Snoop, this is going to always have the abilities of the top Goblin of your deck. So we're going to start things off. We're going to play Boggart Harbinger once we have a Conspicuous Snoop in play. Harbinger gets to fetch a Goblin out of your library, put it on top. We're going to choose Kiki-Jiki Mirror Breaker, which can tap to make a copy of a non-legendary creature you control. It has haste, sack it at the end step. Well, this ability typically would only get used once, but just like with other combos in the past, if you find a way to break this, you can keep going. So in this case, what we're going to do is use a Conspicuous Snoop with that Kiki-Jiki ability, tap, make a copy of itself. We now have another Conspicuous Snoop with haste. Since Kiki-Jiki is on top, we can make yet another one continue until we have all the Conspicuous Snoops we want, which are a copy of Kiki-Jiki. Then, with the last ability, we instead copy the Boggart Harbinger that we used at the beginning. Then, we go get a Sling-Gang Lieutenant off the top of our deck. Then we can use all those extra tapped Conspicuous Snoops we've made to throw them at our opponents until they lose. That's kind of the base combo. That's what's made possible by N21, but this deck honestly doesn't even stop there, because look at this. You see this, Persist, Putrid Goblin, Persist, Murderous Redcap. Well, these are also cards where if you make sure they have a +1 counter when they come into play, and then you have a sacrifice outlet, you can offset the Persist. The -1 counter is canceled out by the -1, and the +1 counters cancel out, which then allows you to have a fresh Redcap in play. It's a 2/2, which you can sacrifice again. So with a sack outlet, like, say, Skirk Prospector, which can add mana, you can also take out an opponent with that combo. We have Grumgully to make those counters possible, as well as with Metallic Mimic. So lots of combos going on already in the deck. You can already tell I'm a fan. So then we round it out. We've got the Munitions Experts as good removal, the Pashalik Mons as another piece of removal, also can kind of combo, because hey, if there's some world where you need to go about it in this way, you can. There's a Ringleader, because why not? Ringleader, get all the Goblins. And tying it all together here, Goblin Matron. This is probably the reason why the deck is even possible. You get to search your library for any Goblin card, put it directly into your hand. At the bottom, we have those Skirk Prospectors, which I guess can be used to ramp, but they are your early plays, along with Aether Vial, which can tick up to allow you to cheat all of these mana costs suit all very quickly. Round it out with some Inquisition of Kozilek, some Thoughtseize, some lands, and you have Modern Combo Goblins. Whew! That was a lot to say, but I hope I gave a succinct description of the deck there. Onto the sideboard. Kind of what you expect. Love these Plague Engineers when your opponents are playing a tribal deck. Blood Moons, why not? Relics for the graveyard. Tarfire. This one actually, by the way, counts as a tribal. Why not? Included in here, it's a Goblin card. You can search for it with your Matron should you really need to. Boil, destroy all islands. Trashmaster, destroy the artifacts. And Crumble to dust, because hey, no one likes to lose a Tron. Combo Goblins, everybody. Thanks for watching here on Mining Modern. Let's jump into the games. All right, it is Goblins time, everybody, and this, have to say, this looks like a keep to me. 3 land, 4 spells, turn 3 kill. I'm in. See what our opponent's up to here. Snow-covered forest, huh? That tells us nothing. And a Utopia Sprawl, okay. Well, ramp away, friend. I will not be ramping on turn 1, I'll tell you that. Oh, that's a nice draw, actually, for us. Let's go get that Blood Crypt. Let's Inquisition our opponents. That was a really nice draw. What are they? Oh my gosh. You know, the thing is, I could actually beat a Blood Moon. Sort of in the generic sense. We play Blood Moon in our sideboard, but turn 2 Blood Moon here would actually kind of ruin me. So I guess I have to take this. The good news for us is that I did not see much from our opponent. I'm particularly worried about. The Glorybringer is the problem if they come up with another ramp piece here, but it would have to be on this turn. They're going to have access to 3 mana on turn 2, and we didn't see any ramp in their hand. Season Pyromancer. None of this beats us, right? So, Wooded Foothills down. Great start for them, but it's going to need to be a turn 3 Glorybringer, not a turn 4 Glorybringer to get me. Let's see what they drew. I do have one card we don't know about. Yep, that'll do it. Harbor Elf will get us. Nice draw. Yeah, it's great because now they can untap this 4, 5, 6. They actually have 6 mana on turn 3. Yeah, we tried. I mean, it's modern. It's turn 2. And, we've only had one play of interaction, so we're hopelessly behind. That's basically how it goes these days. I guess now that we know what they're up to, I should be fetching a basic mountain. I'm sorry, a basic swamp here, but I don't know how I'm supposed to beat that Glorybringer. The problem with running the Snoop out here is that it just gives Glorybringer an easy target. Like a ridiculously easy target. Alternatively, we're not... And the thing is, I really want to fetch a basic swamp so we don't get Blood Mooned again. It's kind of going to be kind of a tough one here. I think maybe I hold on to it, though. Because, look, next turn I can start playing Harbingers and stuff. It's unfortunate my opponent drew an Arbor Elf off the top, though. I think we had the game otherwise. I mean, they needed a removal or something, but... We had the Glorybringer under control. We were going to go Snoop Harbinger on turn 3, but... Interaction. Darn it. There's a turn 3 Glorybringer anyways. I mean, we still get hit by it, but... The whole point is I just don't want it to exert on my Snoop. I want it to exert on a Harbinger, so then it doesn't untap for a turn, and the turn it doesn't untap, I get to play the Snoop and then hope to untap with the Snoop and win with a second Harbinger. That's the line here. It gets us beat down. Make no mistake. This is knocking us down to 12. We're going to take at least one more hit and go down to 8. But, you know, our opponent has 2 cards in hand. They're playing Ponza over there. They just might not draw it, right? We know one of their cards is Season Pyromancer. We have a plan. Now, if my opponent doesn't, you know, if they actually choose not to exert on this Harbinger, and I mean that, don't think I'd fault them too much for that. That gets us 2, or rather, that doesn't mean we can win, but it does still mean I get to resolve this Harbinger ability, and I can go get something I want, like this Munitions Expert, I think is the line here. Because next turn I can play Sling-Gang and then Munitions Expert for 4 and kill the Glorybringer. I think that's where we want to be. Or my opponent, you know, decides to head that off and exerts the Glorybringer on the Harbinger, in which case, you know, we hope that they didn't draw anything and then we get to untap and win the game. So, you know, winning the coin flip would have won this game. Our opponent not drawing Arbor Elf would have won this game. So you can see, even though it looks like we're falling further and further behind, we're right there. We're right there. And this, I think, gives us sort of multiple options for pulling back into this game. I would love for my opponent to just exert the Glorybringer on the Harbinger, do whatever they're going to do with this Season Pyromancer, and then I get to play my Scoop and Snoop in the Harbinger. So we'll see. We'll see where things go from here. You know, I'm thinking about this already because it's come up, but the Pashalik Mons was one of the last cards I put into the deck. I went back and forth on that slot. I kind of think it might be better off as like a Goblin War Chief. Goblin War Chief doesn't do much, but it gives all your creatures haste. It gives all your goblins haste. That means your Conspicuous Snoop Fairy Harbinger amounts to a 5-mana combo that wins on the spot. You don't have to untap with it if you have that in play. And that kind of card gets ignored a lot by opponents. So there might be something to that. As it stands now, they lightning bolted our Harbinger, so we're not going to just win. I drew a couple new ones off the Pyromancer too, so honestly, frankly, great draw for my opponent. Good for them. But we get to play Sling-Gang here and hope that that's good enough. It honestly might not be, but feels like ages ago. Ages ago, I tell you, that I decided I wanted that Munitions Expert on top of my deck. But let's make the line that keeps us in the game here. Play a Sling-Gang Lieutenant. Hope that my opponent chooses to exert on it, I guess. This is not a great place to be in by any stretch of the imagination here. I think we might be close to dead. It's been a very close game, though. That's for sure. Great game one. If it wasn't for the fact that, you know, just in this weird particular corner case, we get hosed by Blood Moon. We had a turn 3 win lined up. I would have been able to take... You know, I say what actually they top decked the Arbor Elf. I couldn't take the Glorybringer anyways. Might not have made a difference now that I think about it. So maybe that Inquisition didn't matter too much. Meanwhile, our opponent will be pillaging our Cavern of Souls. You know what? That doesn't beat us. Doesn't beat us at all. Let's see if they exert the Glorybringer here. This is the big question. This is going to determine... They are exerting it, okay? Well, this is the world in which we can win the game, I think. Because now we get to play our Snoop. And then untap into Harp. I mean, this is the line. You know, we're at 1 here, but we've got a line to win. Oh, that Cavern of Souls is actually low-key a really nice draw, too, because it means that we have access to 4 mana this turn since we can't shock ourselves. And honestly, that's kind of huge here, because it means that we're going to get to flash in the Munitions Expert at some point. So, ooh, Sling-Gang on top. We actually have the activated abilities of that, should that matter. We've got a shot to win this game, though. Our opponent's playing pawns a deck full of mana ramp and mana dorks and things that don't beat us. And all we need is for them to, I guess, have nothing in hand and then whiff on a draw step. So, all right, have nothing on hand might be true. They untapped and drew. Did they whiff on the draw step? Are we going to be able to pull this game out at 1 life with the Snoop combo? Looking pretty good so far. All right, let's play the Munitions Expert. Try to shoot this thing down. I give them something. I'll give them something to do with their mana. I'm actually gonna hit the Glorybringer, and then probably just double block this. Would like to try to get this Glorybringer out of play if this game continues for some reason. But look, we committed to a line, right? All we care about all we really care about is our Snoop. So I'm just gonna block this and double block this. This kind of feels like a desperation attack from my opponent a little bit, since obviously we could just eat this for free, but maybe it was different since they didn't know we had the Munitions Expert. I guess we might have revealed it, but regardless, this might work. This clears the board. We're still hanging in there at 1 life. Does my opponent have it? I don't know what they're looking for. I mean, they need just a lightning bolt, obviously. Lightning bolt us. They lightning bolt our creature, stop us from comboing. They also lightning bolt us and win the game. Wow, and they're really just going for this play to make the tokens. You know, this is exactly what we wanted to see. And they play a land and pass the turn. Is this going to work? I will not lie. If this works out, I will feel, honestly, truly vindicated, because this was kind of a rough game, right? This game was not easy. This game was in doubt all along. We're on 1 life here. We had to play around known effects from our opponent, and now I think we might have done it. This is how you combo with Goblins, everybody. Conspicuous Snoop in play without Summoning Sickness. Harbinger put Kiki-Jiki on top of your deck. Now Snoop has all the abilities of Kiki-Jiki, and that means you can make 1,000,000 copies of itself. Or in this case, I suppose we needed about 14. So we'll make a bunch of copies of our Snoop. After that, we will copy... There we go. We'll copy the Boggart Harbinger. We'll put a Sling-Gang Lieutenant on top of our deck, and at which point we will throw all those tap goblins out of our opponent's face. We did it. We took him down on 1 life. Onto the sideboard, huh? All right, things I don't want are Blood Moons. I think my opponent will be Blood Mooning us. I actually don't know what I do want outside of this Tarfire. I can cut a Sling-Gang. My opponent... I actually don't know what they're going to do here. I don't know that Plague Engineer is particularly good. Let's see here. Because I believe that the... I believe that the Pyromaster... I'm trying to figure this out real quick. Sorry. I want to see if this is a human. Okay, it is. Now, Arbor Elf. That's an elf, though, obviously, right? Elf Druid. Whereas this is a human shaman. And it makes tokens that are elementals. Okay, well. Plague Engineer does not hit any 2 of those 3. So I'm out on that. What do I want, though? Literally, do I want anything here? No, I think let's just roll with it. It worked out pretty well in that game. We got a Tarfire in. We need removal for all the removal we can get for the Arbor Elves, but past that, whatever, right? Game 1 was great. Win, lose the rest of the time, that was a great game. And this is a great hand, I think. I like having interaction when your opponent's playing an Arbor Elf deck in the form of this Inquisition. They can't pull off the Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl combo on us, where they have access to 4 mana on turn 2. So hitting the Arbor Elf is the best thing to do, but second best thing is Inquisition of Kozilek, the Utopia Sprawl. Well, there's a Utopia Sprawl. There you go. This Munitions Expert also takes down a elf. A lot of options here. All right, Blackcleave Cliffs. I don't hate drawing the Mimic. I mean, if we're on this beatdown plane, which honestly we probably could be, really don't beat Blood Moon this game either. And I need to cast red spells, so that's unfortunate. Blood Moon down. All right, well, fair enough. Although this might work out a little bit in our favor. Maybe our opponent opts for this Hex Shrinker instead here. Pretty reasonable turn 3 play from them. I'd actually get to take it out with the Munitions Expert. Looks like that might be what's happening. Just leveling it up twice doesn't beat me at all. I understand why you're going to do this. Probably the right play. It doesn't beat me. Gosh, we even get to get him the whole way because you level up only as a sorcery. I guess we'll pass the turn. We might even get to eat 1 more of their mana this way. They go to level it up to level 3 to give it protection from instants, and then we blow it up. So we might get to chew through even more of their mana. We are still going to have the problem of beating this Glorybringer later on. That card's very good against us. We do not have a lot of answers to it. We don't have a combo hand. We have a fair hand, and a fair hand's not going to beat a Glorybringer. So I guess our hope is, you know, they're wasting time doing this stuff right now. That's great for us. Let's hope it all stays far, far away. Hex Shrinker should go down, though. I would like to use the ability. I would like to remove the Hex Shrinker. I spent 2 mana. You spent, what, 4 on that? I'm in. So what you get for ramping on me. Alright, so they're going to stomp down the Munitions Expert. That's also good for me. I understand why my opponent wants to do that. They want to have a spell to cast next turn. I don't know if it's great for them, though. Now I get to kind of do my thing with these metallic mimics, and there's a Harbinger. I almost have infinite red mana. I think that's where we're at right now. Because Metallic Mimic, Putrid Goblin, Boggart Harbinger for Skirk Prospector, that's infinite mana. That doesn't do it. However, Boggart Harbinger for Sling-Gang Lieutenant. That does it. So, I said we didn't have a combo. Well, we do now. And my opponent, if they can't get to Glorybringer, we're fine. And you know what? A second Bone Crusher Giant stomping on my Metallic Mimic when I have a second one doesn't bother me so much. They're not adding to the board. They're not putting mana in play to cast a Glorybringer, which is the card we really care about. I consider that pretty much a win for us, and I can fetch a Swamp. I don't have to care about Blood Moons anymore. Alright, would like to say Goblin for this one. And then I'd like to play Goblin. A recursive Goblin, as a matter of fact. And I guess if this Metallic Mimic is in play when this Goblin resolves, a 3/3 Goblin that could trade with a Bone Crusher Giant. This is reasonable, I suppose. My opponent's going to Lightning Bolt away the Metallic Mimic. Well, I guess you got to give them this. They have prevented us from putting together any combo pieces, and they're in a position to win the game if they basically just continue to draw lands and hit Glorybringer as we sort of fade out here, as we sort of lose our pieces. But Tarfire is not the one we were looking for. We're going to play the Harbinger, I guess. Harbinger a lot worse than Matron. Puts it on top of your deck, but it is certainly a card. Do I have ways of actually beating Glorybringer? Let's figure that one out first here. Is this good here? Got a sack outlet, it's not the worst. This is a tough call. I kind of want to get the Munitions Expert. Here's the thing. I don't know how we're going to win this game. I'll be quite honest about that. But I know that we probably are going to have to beat a Glorybringer. And given that we have no combos, we're nowhere close to a combo, all we have to work with is a shock. This lonely Tarfire over here. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to throw this thing at a Glorybringer along with the Munitions Expert to try to take it down. In the meantime, my opponent just playing these Bone Crusher Giants like this, so this isn't the end of the world to me. I don't mind this, especially if they're not going to attack. That's a blessing right there. That's an extra turn for us. I mean, look, we're behind. We have exactly one thing we can do, which is basically answer this Glorybringer when they get to it. After that, we're at the mercy of our deck, but we do have good cards in our deck. And we've I guess we have a piece here with the Putrid Goblin. But we do have good draws, if we can keep them from doing anything too crazy. Although I have to say Chandra is pretty good here. Yeah, Chandra might get us, I won't lie. And we're going to add mana. They got something to do with this mana? A Lightning Bolt. On our Persist creature, sure. They might have had enough removal in this one, I gotta say. Of all things, the Bone Crusher Giant's actually coming in clutch right now. What if I took this hit? Yeah, I'm just not sure what I'm supposed to do here. Matron's pretty good. What do we get, though? Snoop, I guess? What is the line here? Probably Snoop. Alright, pass the turn. Hope our opponent goes for the Glorybringer, which we can take down here at the beginning of combat. That's our line. I guess it's... I don't know how we're supposed to deal with this Chandra, per se. But, Snoop can draw us into some cards. We're starting to kind of put something together here. We kind of have to hope our opponent runs... They tap out for Glorybringer here. They kind of run out of gas. It's going to be difficult, though. Chandra is a heck of a magic card. A lot more problematic there for us than basically a creature would have been. Let's see if they go for the Glorybringer. Looks like they're planning on it. This is probably the best possible outcome for us on this turn. It's the next turn that I'm worried about. Yep, Glorybringer is in. Munitions Expert this thing down. Alright, Glorybringer in the bin. That was very good for us, right? That's great value. And, you know, I kind of don't care about these creatures. I might be able to just throw them at Liliana, use the Tarfire to finish off one of these. Something like that could be a line. Another land. This thing's not about to ultimate. I guess let's start by playing the Snoop and seeing what's on top. It's a Sling-Gang. Wow, I needed to... Oh, okay. I got so scared for a minute. I was like, I needed to play my land first. No! However, Tarfire, conveniently Goblin. All right, look at this, though. Now we're getting some value going on here. Let's play the Sling-Gang off the top. Look at that. Grumgully on top? Well, now we're just talking about a combo. Oh, it's got a persist counter on it now, though, so it's not quite a combo yet. That was an interesting development in this game, though. I'll say that. And now I actually kind of don't care about suiciding these in the Chandras. I get to throw them away to Sling-Gang. Thinking that was a question, not a statement. I don't think this is the turn to do it, though. We'd only get in 2 damage. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Well, we were behind, for sure. I actually can't cast this Grumgully, for what it's worth. I have no Cavern of Souls, no anything. But, you know, Snoop into Sling-Gang there, that was a nice one. That was a real nice one. My opponent's going to add mana. Do they have another... Is it another Glorybringer? That card's so hard for us to beat. I'm sure they just have 3 or 4 of them. Yep. Yeah, I gotta say, my turn felt pretty good, but their turn's pretty good, too. I assume it's gonna eat this. Although not hitting the Snoop means you risk just dying. And they're gonna hit the Snoop. Okay. Well, I guess we throw the Sling-Gang thing at them. And they exerted it, too, so it's not gonna untap. They don't have any more mana. Not the end of the world. Yeah. Uncastable card. The only uncastable card, as a matter of fact, in the main deck here. Or in the entire deck at this point. I think at this turn, though, at this point, I have to slam into Chandra, but I'm not sure I'm going to win this game, but I do think it involves attacking Chandra right now. Heck, maybe it was to attack them. Now they're going to get a Chandra emblem. We've got to send in the team here, but the good news is I think we actually get to take Chandra off the board with the Tarfire. Yeah, I think it's exactly. This game's gonna be very hard to win, though. Is my opponent just gonna let all this go? That doesn't feel like the right play to me. Now, if we didn't need to get super lucky, but drawing the only uncastable card in the deck was certainly not what I wanted here. Because with the Sling-Gang in play, in a mounting army of goblins, I mean, heck, if I had attacked my opponent, what would have happened? They would have only taken 4, 6, and then I throw like 6 more at them. That's not enough. However, if they get too greedy here, they don't know that we have this Tarfire. This looks like the greed to me because this isn't lethal. I have to do math, though. I don't want to die to a stray lightning bolt that they return with the Wrenn and 6. But I guess if they have the lightning bolt for my Sling-Gang, I can't win anyways, unless I draw another Sling-Gang. So I can't ever beat lightning bolt. I mean, I could beat lightning bolt in the sense that I could throw away Sling-Gang and some stuff when they cast it, but that doesn't win me the game. The only way I win the game is to attack with all of this, deal 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then throw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goblins at their face. I think I'm supposed to take the 11. It's so hard. I think it's correct, though. I think it's correct to take the 11. Because even if my opponent minuses and then has the bolt, well, then I can still throw away goblins. Oh, no. Wrenn and 6 does that. Sorry if we jumped there for a second. We obviously couldn't beat the Wrenn and 6 anyways because it just minuses to kill us. So with that said, let's go ahead and get ready for game 3 here. Do I like these? I kind of do. I kind of like them. Yeah, I'll play one. Why not? That was a very close game. We were always dead. I had to actually think that one through. We get to the end, and I was like, wait a minute, we're dead? Oh, yeah, that's what that thing does. But we were dead no matter what, because even if I shock the Bloodbraid Elf, which is what I was thinking about, the Wrenn and 6 hits our Sling-Gang, and then we throw away this. Without the Sling-Gang, we can't win. So it doesn't actually change much there. So I would like to play first here in game 3, though. And, well, you know what? This one, I guess, looks like a keep to me. Vial, Snoop, Mimic, not bad. We get to be on the play. All right, let's pass it back. This is an interesting hand for us. Vial is going to be very hit or miss against a Ponza deck. You know, it's going to be good against... It helps us keep pace with them when they're going fast, but if they have a removal-heavy hand like they did last game, well, then the Vial's going to look pretty bad. But, and we'll see how that goes. I get to slam a Mimic this turn. And you know what? Mimic and Putrid Goblin, well, that could be pretty powerful. And I love that we get to protect our Snoop through all of this, right? I'm doing things that my opponent's pretty much going to burn removal on if they have it, but we still get to keep our Conspicuous Snoop for either card advantage purposes later or maybe a combo. We'll see. And as a matter of fact, there you go. They're going to stomp on my Metallic Mimic. Bonecrusher Giant is slotted very well into these older formats. It's by no means an unfair card. No one's ever complained, I think, about Bonecrusher Giant, but it actually fits in pretty nice, right? It's a nice deck. It's a nice card for decks like this, but also is an incredibly fair, not immediately visibly powerful card, which is a nice design. You know, I run into a bunch of broken cards, obviously, when we're playing these games. I'm like, that design. I like Bonecrusher Giant. That's a nice one. It's cool. With that said, I guess I'll just play this Cavern here. Play out our Putrid Goblin. We have the Tarfire mana open should we need it. But we have the Conspicuous Snoop here. So the real goal is that my opponent does something. And look, they're a pretty reactive deck. I don't think they're going to be too scared right now. But it's a super reactive deck. Super proactive deck outside of the couple pieces of removal. So they're probably going to tap out. Just like this. They're going to put a Utopia Sprawl on that Stomping Ground. Do they not have a second land? That would be something. Oh, wow. They actually do have... Wow. Look at that. Okay, they do have the Lightning Bolt. They actually are going to bolt the Putrid Goblin. To be fair, that's not a bad decision since it is a combo piece. Unfortunately for them, I have this Snoop that I get a Vial in here when they have access to no mana. So, oh my gosh. And look at that. That's a Harbinger. And friends, this is a Goblin combo right here. Welcome to Modern Combo Goblins, everybody. It was just on top the entire time. Harbinger, you're in, please. Let's go searching. So I had a brief brain fart there in game 2. However, here in game 3, all is well with the world. We will make a bunch of Conspicuous Snoops. That'll do it, everybody. Taking it down with Combo Goblins here in Modern. Combo Goblins, here we go. We're on the play, and I like this hand. We get to lead on a Vial here. Interesting, we'll figure out when we actually want to play this Inquisition of Kozilek, and having Kiki-Jiki in our hand, not where you want to be, but I don't think you mulligan an Inquisition Vial Mimic hand, right? And if our opponent's playing creatures, the Munitions Expert will be great as well. As a matter of fact, they're playing Burn. That's a Rift Bolt. So, looks like we just want to race. not deal ourselves any damage here. And I wish we had more of a sideboard against red, but it is what it is. Sling-Gang, though, that's a pretty good one against a deck trying to burn you out. Now, here's something to consider. I'm going to actually reveal, I think, this Kiki and play this Metallic Mimic because I want... The Inquisition of Kozilek is going to be the exact same now as it is later. It's going to take a card from their hand that deals 3 damage. But by playing a creature out, they either send this bolt to our face, which it looks like they're going to do, and we get to attack and actually reduce their life total to 0, which is what we're going to have to do here. Or they send it to Mimic and not us, and then so be it, right? So I think this works out, and they are just full-on face plan right here, huh? Oh, wow. Okay. I'll pretend that this was beatable. I wasn't hitting this one with Inquisition of Kozilek. Chandra's Incinerator costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to your opponents this turn. It's a 6/6 Trampler, and whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, the Incinerator deals that much damage to the target creature or player that player controls. Sorry, creature or planeswalker. That was a lot of words. That card was pretty good. That was quite the dream over there for them, suspending the... yeah, very nice, I guess. Turn 2 Incinerators, sure. Everyone's doing fun stuff. Let's do it. All right. Well, Sling-Gang, a little worse against a 6/6 Trampler, but I guess sort of beatable eventually? I think I can beat it in combat. I think the plan's going to be to play the Munitions Expert, deal 3 damage to the Incinerator, block with the Putrid Goblins. Actually, even a pretty reasonable combat for me, on top of everything else here. The bolt to the face. Okay. The Incinerator ability on the side. This is still, I mean, this might not actually work here, but, I mean, we'll see. I'll vial this in now. Surely they're going to run out of burn at some point, right? Well, let's hit the Incinerator, hopefully for 3 here. You know, I guess they could always just... this is a really interesting play for a red deck, if you think about it. Because, yeah, I'm kind of putting my cards on the table here, trying to figure out how I'm going to beat it. On the other hand, what if they do this? What if they just don't attack? It's a 6/6 Trampler I can't get through. I have to keep back blocks. I don't have removal for it. And meanwhile, they are... they're just drawing burn spells, right? That's a very interesting approach for a red deck. That doesn't mean we're not going to be able to beat it, though. Snoop is not a bad one here. Well, I either play the Snoop, preserve my ability to block. I don't even think playing the Snoop is very good. I guess we have to do this. Oh my gosh. How am I ever going to win? I mean, I know how I'm going to win the game, but it's going to be hard. I guess it's the Boros Charm. Why is it got to have Trample? The way we win this game is playing Sling-Gang Lieutenant off of our Aether Vial next turn, and then putting the Aether Vial up to 5 and playing the Kiki-Jiki and copying the Sling-Gang Lieutenant a bunch, right? That's the plan. I don't know if that plan's going to beat this Incinerator, though. It's going to hit us for... It's just going to decimate our board. Look at this. Point burn spells at my face, remove a creature on my board. Oh, by the way, you had a turn 2 6/6. This game's just over. Right? They have a Swift Spear and an Eidolon. I'm not beating. I mean, the thing is, I guess technically the Swift Spear and the Eidolon don't beat us, but what can we beat? Nothing. We're not beating that. That's game. All right, on to game 2, I guess. Nice draw. Everyone's just doing something silly. Turn 2 6/6s, huh? Remember when Tarmogoyf used to be good? Anybody remember that? Good old Tarmogoyf. Yeah, I didn't think so. I'm not going to need a Ringleader here. The rest of this isn't very good, is the thing. Our sideboard is not really designed for mono red turn 2 6/6s, but I'm certainly going to keep this hand. This hand is insane. We need to threaten all kinds of stuff here. Play the Prospector on 1. Play maybe the Mimic, maybe the Snoop. I don't know. Maybe our opponent won't have a turn 2 6/6 again. Cross your fingers, I guess. Swift Sphere. Well, it's not a turn 2 6/6. Come on down. We'll take one. We're going to work on putting together combos here. That's it. Let's just try to put together some combos. And Putrid Goblin. I mean, literally, we have infinite red mana next turn. How about that? All right? How about that? How do I want to do this? They'll kill the Mimic. I want them to not care about my creatures. That's what I want. So I'm going to do this. I almost wish this deck had, like, 1 mana Morphos in it. I guess it doesn't really work. I wish I had some way to filter red mana into black mana. But, yeah, I mean, that's all I guess. But I also would need to have a way that I can get it, which means it would need to be a Goblin. I don't know. I've just had a couple situations like this, you can see here, where we have the Matron in hand. And we can make infinite red mana. Or at least before the Seal of Fire arrived, make infinite red mana, that is. We can no longer make infinite red mana. But then I can use it for the Matron, and I can do all this stuff, but I can't actually win the game off of it, I don't think. Maybe, actually, the Pashalik Mons wins us a game off of this. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm in. I'm glad I added that one. Inquisition of Kozilek, huh? A little late on this one. What do I want to do here? This stupid Seal of Fire is just bizarrely perfectly positioned against us. It's actually, I mean, there's a reason no one's traditionally played Seal of Fire until decks that want it, that operate a little differently, like my opponent's deck with that Chandra's Incinerator. But man, Seal of Fire is pretty good against us right here, isn't it? Especially with us missing on lands. What do I want to do? I guess play the Mimic and go for infinite mana. Because if our opponent stops us, I guess we still end up with some mana. Just thinking this through. You can make infinite mana at instant speed. If my opponent were to crack the seal first. Guess we attack. If they blow it on the... thing is, if they blow it on either of these cards, who cares, right? This is always going to happen. We get it off the battlefield. We still get our Putrid Goblin back. Alright, I get to throw away the Goblin here. I think this works out for us. We get this thing back as a 1-1. We get the Seal of Fire off the battlefield. We get to play Conspicuous Snoop. Now, obviously the Snoop's going to eat this Rift Bolt, but that is what it is. And, fortunately for us, we're going to draw land. So next turn we can actually Inquisition and play the second Snoop, or just play a Matron, I suppose, depending on what we want to do. Alright, let's see where they throw this Rift Bolt. I assume at the Snoop, because they don't know that we're not going to combo. They are thinking about it, though. This is an interesting game. I have to say, you know, through some of the warm-up matches I've played, this Goblins deck is not easy. It is, and I like combo decks a lot. And honestly, I love this deck, and I want to get good at this deck, but I don't know if I'm good at this deck yet. This is a hard deck. So if you're watching at home and you're watching me make mistakes, it happens. These decks are not easy to pick up, and when I pick up new decks and new formats every week for you here on Cool Stuff Between Punting Pioneer, Mining Modern, I want to keep making that content. You just got to churn through it, and you accept that you're going to make some mistakes, and that's the way it goes, but I really like this deck. I'm not building any decks right now in the pandemic, etc., but this is one I'd kind of like to own in paper. It's probably not that expensive. The Cavern of Souls, the mana base is expensive, but that's just modern, right? That's just always going to be true. The creatures are fairly reasonable. We're making use of some uncommons and commons here. All right, our opponent seems to have decided on something here, and they have found the right line, which is skewer the critics on my Snoop. Sure. I will be throwing this Putrid Goblin. My opponent should actually probably throw a removal spell at the Putrid Goblin, because I plan on blocking this turn. Oh, just an Eidolon. Okay. This doesn't do us anything now that it has a counter on it. All right, here we go. So, start by fetching. The problem with the Matron line for the Sling-Gang immediately, I mean, I think I'm just going to have to take some damage here. The problem with that line, in my view, is that if we don't draw land, we're just going to lose the game to it. Meanwhile, we can do this to our opponent, show them the downside of Chandra's Incinerator, strand a 6-mana card in their hand. And play my Snoop. Well, that's the land, so... Alright, we've got a plan here. It's going to be close. I'll say that. I think it's going to be a close one. Let's see what my opponent draws. Skewer the critics on my Snoop. Okay. The Snoop wasn't even necessarily doing me a ton here, so that's not the end of the world. Am I taking this damage? That's the question. I think so. Go to 5, go to 3. Maybe I block. It's going to be close. This game's going to be real close here. All right, let's play the Matron. Let's go get the Sling-Gang and hope we live to see the day. Sling-Gang is a 4-drop, so we don't take damage off of the Eidolon here. But the thing is, we're going to need the Sling-Gang plus more because we've actually still got a little bit of a ways to go here. All right, Sling-Gang Lieutenant has joined the chat. So, this is going to be hard. This is going to be a hard one to get out of here with my opponent having the redraw abilities. I think I basically am going to have to take the damage here. We hope that they draw land, and we hope they draw land off Sunbait Canyon, and we play Sling-Gang and have 4 Goblins in play, and then hope that we can make combat difficult enough for them. This was a good start. However... Oh, a Swift Spear. Well, that's beatable. Swift Spears we can kind of beat. Going to take 4, go to 1, but then we won't be dead. If our opponent whiffs again, we might be in business. Sling-Gang is hit the field. Do I attack? That's one of the questions. I don't think so. Then again, maybe I do. Because we lose the Lightning Bolt no matter what. Even if I threw all 3 of these away to go to 4, I mean, we're still going to die to the Bolt. So if I can't beat a Bolt, may as well poke them, right? This still allows us 2 chump blocks, sack 2, go back up to 3, put them to 5. Swing, question mark. Like I said, we've still got some work to do on this one, but we're trying to turn this Eidolon into a weapon against my opponent as well. This doesn't kill me. Block there. Block there. Throw both of these at their face, leaving me, I think, on 1 again. Are we going to get there? I now seem to have lethal. I think we might have done it. I don't know about that attack, friend. I don't think that got you there. Well, it was nerve-wracking taking those hits earlier, going as low, but look, at 1 life, we do it. Goblin Matron taking down our opponent here. Whew! On to game 3, I guess. What the... How am I supposed to beat this deck in a game 3, though? Their deck is so good against ours. I think. Maybe the Plague Engineers are good. The Eidolon is a spirit also. That's not a human. So there's just really no good targets for the Plague Engineer. It's just like a 3-mana 2/2 Death Toucher, which I guess isn't the end of the world, but it's not very good either. Just all about getting to the Sling-Gangs. I think we just kind of... Let's just draw well, right? How about that? Let's just draw well. No turn 2 6/6s for my opponent this time, please. Well, you know what? I'm in. It's a hand. I honestly don't... like, a Vial would be better. There's no Aether Vial here. And that's a pretty good opener for my opponent to have, but I guess it means this is a normal red start, right? So it's not a 6/6 on turn 2. Well, now things are getting a little more interesting because that's a win. This changes things. Maybe not how the game's going to play out, but... well, rather, how the game's going to end, but it will change how it plays out. Because we go Snoop, my opponent has to answer. That's one burn spell not coming at our face, at least, because otherwise, if they, do something silly and just decide to go ham like they did in Game 1, pointing burn spells at our face, we'll just Snoop into Harbinger and pull off the turn 3 win. Now, I don't expect that to be what happens here. Oh, this is shaping up in a fascinating manner, honestly. I mean, I'll give them the satisfaction. If they have it, I guess you get me, but that means the burn spell goes to the Snoop, not at me. I have 4 lands. I have Sling-Gang. I have Harbinger. I have Matron. I'm just going to play 3 Sling-Gang Lieutenants this game. Maybe throw Thoughtseize in there. Hope that 3 Sling-Gang Lieutenants is enough. And that'll be a nice draw as well. So, I don't think we can beat the 6/6, but I think I can beat a normal, quote-unquote, burn hand. So, I mean, let's see what my opponent has here. Now, if this is, say, a Searing Blaze, they deal 3 to us, put us at 15. It's whatever. Instead, it's nothing. It's just 2 wasted mana from a burn deck that's all about efficiency. 3 damage for 1 mana, 3 damage for 1 mana. I think that's pretty good for us. Now... second Swift Spirit. They are getting the beat down on. But if they're tapping out, they're just... Alright, they're going to bolt this. I mean, this is what they needed, I think. This is the line that might stand to beat 3 Sling-Gang Lieutenants. Because they still get in for damage. And the Sunbait Candy can turn into something later. I mean, yeah, this is all pretty good for them. Oh, they have another one. Yeah, this is what they needed right here. They need to put together a turn 4 kill of their own, and they might be able to do it. Swift Spears are how you make that happen, and just like that, we're down to 9. They have 2 cards in hand. Frankly, probably plenty more to come. I think it's Matron for Sling-Gang. I don't think we have any other choice here. Well, I guess I could Harbinger for Sling-Gang. That's probably better than Matron. I think I probably won't be casting this Thoughtseize. I mean, trust me, actually, I do want to, because the card, it's going to cost me 2 life, but the card I'm taking is going to deal me 3, so it's worth it in that sense, but we need to try to get ahead. We just have to hope that our game plan basically here is going to be good enough. It is difficult, though. I mean, 3 cards in hand from your burn opponent. With 2 Swift Spears in play, we could just be dead. 1 Lightning Bolt at the Harbinger, 1 Lightning Bolt at our face, and we're gone. They would have, in fact, dealt us exactly 9 damage that way. Now, this might be a little bit of a lifeline, though. It's a Lava Spike. This is not lethal. In the same boat we were. Have to take the 4. I have to keep all the goblins in play I can for when the Sling-Gang hits the field, because it's the only way we can win. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think we're going to win this one. I think the play-draw difference is going to... And the fact that we got hosed out of Game 1 by the turn 2 6/6 might take us down. I don't know that we have enough here. Maybe. 4 life is not terrible. It's just going to be hard. Our opponent has a lot of burn. A lot of burn in their deck. I hope their hand is 4 6/6s they can't play, though. 4 6/6s for 6, and as a matter of fact, moving to combat like this is insane for me. I even get to bait out one of the spells here by putting a 2-power creature on the Monastery Swiftspear. Need to make sure to remember to do this. All right, throw this Goblin at him. I'll let this Harbinger attempt to trade with the Swiftspear. Is this going to work? We're at 3. They're down a creature. Riftbolt. And Riftbolt. Okay, well then. Yes, we're taking 6 next turn. Might be able to beat that. Sling-Gang number 2. Gonna keep a Goblin back here. Are we still dead, though? I just sacked 4 of these. And then Chump Block. I think we're still gonna die. That's crazy. Guess Double Riftbolt's pretty good. Well, yeah, this is rough. Not a great place to be here, but it is what it is, I guess. Okay, yeah, I'm down to 1. I think we're going to lose. I think our opponent is going to probably burn us out of this one. That's nuts. Through 2 Sling-Gang Lieutenants. Alright, that one's coming at the face as well. Alright, let's start throwing Goblins away. The real problem here is that it's not these Goblin tokens that we lose, it's the fact that we're going to have to lose both Sling-Gang Lieutenants to survive, and that's just a chump block. That's in a war. I still don't really know how we're winning that game, because our opponent could also be, you know, what's our opponent have in their hand that they're not playing? They can play the 6/6 now. We're not going to beat it. So... this is what it is. We'll go down to 1. This game was super close, though. I mean, if we had been, it is the 6/6. That's a pretty unbeatable card, and this in this particular circumstance, there's got to be only basically 8 cards in the deck that work with it, though, and they're not very good. It's Seal of Fire and Riftbolt, and when you draw 2 Riftbolts, I guess it's great. Anything else, not so much. Either way, we're dead. Great match, though. It was a fun one. Good match. All right, here we go. Combo Goblins. We're on the draw against some kind of blue-black deck. However, I like our hand quite a bit. We have the, I mean, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 curve. Really, what more could you ask for right there? But Aether Vial, going to be very good, like it always is. All right, well, no clue what our opponent is up to quite yet. Another 4-drop. I mean, it's Sling-Gang, so it's certainly a very good one. And with this Aether Vial, which we might just take all the way up to 4, heck, you could even go to 5 in this deck in some world if you absolutely have to. But our opponent going to mill himself and mill nothing but lands. So, all right. I see a Cascade Bluffs in there. Looks suspiciously like Storm, I have to say. What's our Storm matchup like? Probably not very good. I don't think we have a lot of sideboard cards against Storm. That said, I mean, we're going to try to combo ourselves. We have a Matron to put it together, hopefully. If we can find some other kind of piece here. Having the Persist creature means we're actually working towards multiple combos right now. It is a very anemic beatdown, though, that's for sure. But actually, I mean, I do think this is going to be the plan here. This is how we're going to try to win. I mean, we'll see. I don't expect... If our opponent is playing not Storm, they're going to kill our creatures. And if they're playing Storm, we're probably going to die on by turn 4 anyways. But that said, you know, here's what we can do. If this was how we were going to try to make this play out, we're going to play Matron. We're actually going to go search for Grumgully. Which then we can violin on the next turn that we play the Sling-Gang, and that's lethal. Grumgully, sack outlet, Putrid Goblin. So, we'll see. Feel a lot better on the play about this plan. There's a Ringleader. We had all the value cards, that's for sure. I guess I'll go ahead and I suppose I should grab the Stomping Ground. I mean, it's kind of a tell, but then again, I could just play the Matron here and then use it on 3 next. That's actually what I'm doing anyway, so I can actually disguise this and just go get a mountain. Suppose we should attack first. Don't think this game's going to be won by attacking, but no reason not to. I mean, heck, we might change our plan if our opponent were to lightning bolt it or something here. Alright, well, there you go. Okay. Goblin Matron, let's see what happens. Ah. Counter spells from our opponents after all. Archmage's Charm, okay. Fair enough. Alright, well, that actually completely changes pretty much the entire way I thought this game was going to go. I thought it was a little odd. Our opponent didn't have anything yet, but I thought we were getting stormed for sure. Instead, it's a, must be an Is It Phoenix type deck here. Well, what does that do to our plan? I mean, it makes this stuff like this Ringleader could be a little better. This Vial itself is going to be very good, sitting on 4 counters here. So we'll see. I mean, heck, even the Persist creatures can jump block an Awoken Horror. Ah, Munitions Expert. Okay, well, if we can... I say if. Once we get up to 4 Goblins in play. That's a good one. Well, I will say this. I'm pretty tempted right now to just run out the Ringleader because it means we could draw into a 3-drop to Vial, and otherwise our Vial does nothing here. And it's not like playing the Sling-Gang particularly does much, so I kind of like this play. I don't want this to get countered, but if it does, it does. We still keep sort of our other good cards, and in this case, getting Remand, well, they were always going to have the Remand, so that's fine. The question is, what do we do if our opponent transforms Thing in the Ice next turn, right now when they untap? That could be problematic, but as long as there's no, Arclight Phoenixes getting involved here, I think we might be able to beat the first Awoken Horror. It's a 7/8. I mean, I don't know that we'll be dealing 8 damage to it with this Munitions Expert anytime soon, but once it's transformed, it can be chump blocked. As long as the second one doesn't follow it up, we can survive quite a while against just the 7/8 non-trample beatdown, and in this case, our opponent's just going to pass the turn back, which is even nicer. All right, well, here we go. Putting our Vial up to 4. Oh, maybe not. Is our opponent going to Archmage's Charm it? Sure. They're going to gain control of our Aether Vial. Why not, I guess. Suppose I'll tap it. It's an interesting line from them. Consider that basically a counter, I guess. Oh, this is crazy. So my opponent owns my Aether Vial, but I can actually choose to use the ability? Do I think they have 4s? Do I think they have 3s? I think they're more likely to have 3s than 4s. That'd be your Brazen Borrower of Vendilion Click territory. Sure, we'll put a counter on it. I'll put a counter on my opponent's cards, I guess. Alright, well, look at that, though. The old plan's back on, just maybe a little slower, because there's the Matron to go get the Grumgully. I'm in. Another Remand? So we're running into here? Yep, sure is. Well, the Awoken Horror might be awakening pretty soon. Don't think that means the end of the game for us, though. I suppose it stands to reason after they transform this, we are actually going to need to resolve spells, and that does become a lot more difficult without the Aether Vial. I'd feel a heck of a lot better about winning this game if I still had that Vial. So that Archmage's Charm might actually turn out to be kind of clutch for them here. As I need to resolve my spells, and most of my spells cost quite a bit of mana. So we'll see what happens. It's a Royal Scions, huh? Well, that takes it from a 2-turn clock to a 3-turn clock. Maybe, anyways. I don't think I care about this a ton. I mean, the way this game is going, who knows? We might, but we'll see. All right, what's their play? What card do they want to spin to transform the Thing in the Ice? Lightning Bolt to our face, maybe? They've played a lot of, as it's termed sometimes, air so far. No removal. Very few permanents, just lots of cards that just sort of dirtle. That's pretty much the definition of Remand and Magmatic Sinkhole on our Putrid Goblin. All right, well, that's not going to resolve, but that's fine. Anyways, they just played lots of cards that just kind of cycled. Thought Scour, Royal Scions, Loot. I mean, that one's obviously a little better, but... All right, well, the Awoken Horror... It's no longer sleeping, and it is, in fact, swinging. We're down to 9. But my opponent, I guess outside of the one island in the Aether Vial at 5 is tapped out, so maybe we'll get to resolve some spells here. I would not hate drawing a land. Boggart Harbinger, not quite, but you know what? That's actually another tutor. Unfortunately, though, this stupid Royal Scions completely changes this clock. And I think, as much as I would love to maybe take a different line, I actually think I just have to play a Sling-Gang Lieutenant here. Doesn't give it trample, at least, right? Oh my gosh. Really? Okay, well. That's pretty bad for us. Oh my gosh, okay. Wow. I did not realize that about the Royal Scions. I mean, usually you just see it loot for a while and maybe ultimate, but yeah, target creature plus 2/0 gains first strike and trample until end of turn. Aether Vial up to 6 now. It's an interesting game. I mean, look, we've got basically one more hit we can take if our opponent uses the Royal Scions on the Awoken Horror. We throw one Goblin in the way, then we don't die, we go to 1. I don't get this ability, though, because this ability does not trigger on a Goblin dying. It triggers on sacrificing a Goblin, and since this will have trample, we need all the Goblins we can get. That said, I mean, are we even going to win this game? Our opponent's going to flash back to Magmatic Sinkhole, take out Sling-Gang Lieutenant number 1. I just don't think we can win is the problem. We don't have removal for this thing. We don't have any way to beat the Royal Scions giving it trample. So I suppose we take a draw set, but I don't think I can combo here. Yeah, I guess I should have thrown this at them. But I honestly am just trying to think through our outs, and I think we're dead no matter what line we take. So I can't imagine anything draw will get us out of this. We just can't put up enough blockers, and there's no sort of removal we can fetch with the Matron or anything like that. And no haste on a Snoop we could fetch. There's a land. You know, I think if I had had that Sling-Gang in play, we would have almost gotten somewhere. We'd actually be a mana short. I think that'll do it, but let's go ahead and play the Matron and find out. My kingdom for the the bounce Sting Scourger, I believe it is. Yeah, alright, none of these cards are getting us out of this. On to game 2. Alright, well, fair enough. Alright, blue-red Thing in the Ice player. Boil, I think, would be pretty good. The Relic's also pretty decent, I think. The discard spells are all good. I mean, honestly, I like most of what we have going on. Munitions Expert is probably more questionable, but hey, it actually hits the Royal Scions, so it's not the worst thing to have here. I'll keep one in. The beauty of playing a Goblin Matron Boggart Harbinger deck is you can just keep one of things, because your deck essentially functions as a tutor deck. It's kind of fun. And as such, I'm just going to kind of cut down around the edges here. I need to get rid of one more, probably Skirk Prospector. We do want the relics. They're obviously very good against my opponent. It's possible that you can have a thing as too many relics, not because the relics aren't good in your deck, but because, I mean, you need to play other spells. So we'll see if this balance works out here. This certainly looks like a pretty reasonable hand to me, though. As a matter of fact, that's a turn 3 kill. This is what we like to see. Let's see if our opponent has it. I mean, look, their deck's full of interaction, etc. But who knows? Maybe they do something silly on turn 2, and we just get them. They don't see it coming. We also have the Aether Vial, so we could actually beat, because once our combo is in play, it interacts entirely without casting a spell. So it's possible we could even maybe use this Aether Vial to get around it, depending on how things play out and how fast we want to go and so on here. Definitely going to start by just taking this thing up. And just slamming the Conspicuous Snoop. I mean, why not? Alright, well that's not a land. The thing is, we are the one hitch in the plan, I suppose. A third land is probably required for this turn 3 kill here. Land also good because we have this boil, right? So our opponent gonna let this resolve, a Braid Cryptic Command to the graveyard. As long as we draw lands, I feel great about this game because, and as a matter of fact, there you go, land on top. So we get to try for a turn 3 kill. Should that not work, we're in a position where, if we draw a 4th land, we can still boil away some amount of my opponent's mana. So, and this, if they're thinking about something on their main phase here, if they do something that doesn't impact the board here and tapped out, they're going to lose the game. And I think maybe they're realizing that right now. Yep, okay. Not surprised, not surprised. The beauty of this is I can actually bait out whatever I want by just playing the Matron here. My opponent's going to counter it. I mean, of course they would. Why wouldn't they? Oh, here we go. What's the play? Ah, Aether Gust the Snoop. That's an interesting line I hadn't thought of. Okay. Well, that will certainly buy them quite a bit of time. Nice play. Okay. I guess we put it on the top. This actually gets us pretty good. Honestly, that's the best line. That's the best play they could have had there, I think, without an actual removal spell, because putting that on top of our deck really does kind of get us. I think, sadly, that... Man, I think I'm still forced into just playing this horribly, basically, right? But I think this is what we have to do. You know, the good thing, I guess, here is... On the other end, they're not going to be able to counter that Snoop if we just keep the Vial at 2, which is what I'm going to do. And then I'll still, next turn, play the Matron. You know, because they were tapped out, I could have resolved the Matron there. Yeah, that would have been better. I could have resolved the... I could have resolved the Matron, just got the Snoop, and involved the Snoop right back in. That would have been better. Alright, well, you live and you learn, right? Let's see if we can take it down anyways. If not, so be it. Well, I can actually Munitions Expert this thing. That's interesting. That's a very aggressive Snapcaster Mage, by the way, on that Thought Scour. When they just have the Aether Gust in there, they could get a little bit later, so... Alright, well, let's see if we can dig out of this one. There's a little bit of hole I put us into, but you know, on the flip side of this, yeah, I would like to use the ability. We preserved the Goblin Matron this way. So yeah, I think it probably would have been better to go the other way. But by doing it this way, we actually get to tutor now for something else. So in that sense, it works out kind of better. So I can instead tutor for maybe just a value card with the Goblin Matron rather than a combo card. Or I can tutor for a different combo card, that sort of thing. It's and all those options are available to me because we chose to wait. So, like I said, other line probably better, but it is a little bit of a judgment call depending on how much credit you give your opponent, how much you think you're really going to need to be grinding this game. If you think it's going to come down not to tempo, but to draw steps, then this line has a lot more going for it. With that said, what do we want to do here? Sling Game seems okay. I can also just get a second Snoop. Because I have the Harbinger. And once the Harbinger resolves, it doesn't matter for them. Thinking that one through. I could get the... Sorry, this is a tough call. I think it's probably correct just to grab another Snoop. Because it's just such a good card advantage card regardless of anything else. And I say maybe I'll get an advantage card rather than a combo piece. Well, it turns out Conspicuous Snoop might just be both. I mean, the other options are basically the Sling-Gangs. I'm just gonna grab this. We can Vial in a Harbinger. Interesting game. You know, I could have kept the Vial on too there, but I'm choosing to give my opponent some credit, and I want to have some options here. Really, I'd like to just draw an island, draw a land and play Boil, and not have to mess around with all this trying to combo. But I might be able to stumble my way through this game, get us to a game 3. We'll see. This has not been this has been a difficult game trying to play around everything here. All right, so we'll say no to this. And see what we can do, I guess. All right, there's a 4th land that we can't use quite yet, but that's not bad. See if we find it. If we have a Skirk Prospector on top, perhaps. I could make there be one on top. Instead, it's another Boggart Harbinger. So that's also not a bad one to draw here. I guess we begin the beatdown. My opponent is a long way from killing us with this thing in the ice. And, you know, by playing this game slower, despite them having, you know, some answers and some delay stuff, and they're still alive, we haven't comboed them out. We've played this game to a much slower conclusion, and we're trying to just kind of out-card our opponent as we give them credit for having removal to stop the combo. They haven't tapped out at all. I think maybe there was one turn where they were down to an island, but even that could mean anything. So here you go. So yeah, it's the Magmatic Sinkhole on the first Snoop. Because for us now, the trick is going to be to always to try to untap with the Snoop. That's going to be the difficult part. So it's going to be kind of a, can we play this game fairly up until that point? So, all right, my opponent going with the Abrade here with the Mystic Sanctuary. Might this open the door for us to resolve Boil? They have 4 islands in play. I would certainly do it. A second thing in the ice? Well, oh my gosh, is this going to be the dream? Please cast a spell. No, cast a spell, please. Ugh. All right, well, let's see. It's a tough one. Okay, let's begin by attacking. Yeah, I pretty much have to pull the trigger on the Boil here. Because even if it's remand, I'll try again next turn. All right, bluff called. Yep. I mean, if it's not a counterspell, we're gonna win the game, I think. So I think I go for, well, we actually we wouldn't necessarily win the game from this is the thing, but it would be very good for us, obviously. All right, so cross your fingers this resolves, because if it does, we're in great shape. Obviously, we then get a Boggart Harbinger instep and so on. So adding red mana is not a counterspell; it's an Abrade. This is great. Game not over, but this is great. All right, well, let's go ahead and put a Boggart Harbinger into play. So the nice thing now is I get to choose what I want to put on top next turn. So this can be a pure value play since I also have access to this. All right, so is there any kind of combo we can put together on our next turn here? We'll have access to a Conspicuous Snoop that we could turn into the copy of something. We would need Grumgully, I believe. So, we could actually build towards that. I could also just grab this Ringleader. Yeah, because we don't have any of the other combo. We have 0 pieces of the other combo right now, so I should probably grab something that isn't that combo piece. I think it might be the Ringleader here. Just because if our opponent's going to be trying to draw lands and then cast 1 mana spells to transform these Sling in the Ices, and it's possible that we actually need to win this game by trying to set up a winning combat state rather than simply comboing them out. As we not a bad feeling when you pass the turn and your opponent has no lands in play. So there's still some work to do here, but looks like our opponent missed. So it looks like we might be well on the way to punting to victory to this one. Don't know that this was a complicated game, and some of the things I did were decisions. I'm not sure they might have worked out here, even if they weren't always the best. So all right, Ringleader time it is, I suppose. No, that's silly. I should just I shouldn't mess with that. I should just play the Snoop and set up for the win next turn. If my opponent, has Lightning Bolt in hand and rips a mountain and kills our Snoop, then sure, we'll play the then we'll play the Ringleader and go from there. But might not even come to that. Our opponent doesn't hit land here. Should just be a win. All right, well, there we go. On to game 3. Do we want to change anything? Now we know our opponent is fully on that particular plan. What's good here? I mean, I feel pretty okay with what we have. Kind of a mix of everything. Combo pieces, value pieces. I think maybe the Munitions Expert's the most questionable one here. But just even picking off a Snapcaster or something like that, it's not the worst. And the idea is, they could... The Royal Scions is a thing. I don't really want that thing to ultimate me, so even pinging it for 1 or 2 or 3 can be relevant. So, I don't know. Maybe it's better off as another relic or something, but I think it's okay. That's 5 lands here. We have to ship this one. This is a keep. What do I do with this? I guess I have to ship the Boil. As it is pretty far from castable. Our opponent mullet is as well, so not the end of the world here. And Aether Vial into some value. I mean, into a turn 3. Like, if we just rip lands off the top, it's a turn 3 win, right? And if not, well, we have this Relic and this Vial plan. So this could be promising right here. Just show me some love, deck. 1 or 2 lands off the top, all I ask. Snoop, not a land. I will reveal this Goblin Matron, as that is decidedly not a combo piece. It's any combo piece. It's any combo piece it wants to be, but it gives away the least to our opponent. It doesn't show our opponent that we have a turn 3 win in hand, should we find some lands. And I guess, heck, a turn 4 win if we don't find lands. So even in the worst case, sand's still playable. Aether Vial, it turns out pretty good. Oh my gosh, the dream though. The dream is alive and well. Not that I really expect to resolve this, but we have... Wow, ooh. Whew! Now we're getting somewhere. Not only... Well, we resolved it. We know that there's not a land on top of our deck now. I'm just going to get bolted anyway, so it doesn't matter, but... Grumgully on top of our deck, well, that's another combo piece. That also, for what it's worth, is a 3/3 for 3. It beats down. We get a Violet in, so we don't have to worry about not having the green mana in play. And it makes all your other creatures that come into play stronger. So our opponent has Thing in the Ice, 3 lands and 3 cards in hand. That means we probably have a couple turns here before we're in too much trouble. All right, and this actually works out too, since we only have exactly 3 drops in hand outside of the Snoop and the Vial on 2. I can get away with playing this Relic of Progenitus right now start to mess up our opponent's Snapcaster Mage, which I'll get rid of this Bolt immediately. And we're going to try to untap into victory here. So, you know, I'm sure our opponent has something, you know, a Bolt, I guess, gosh, a Magmatic, whatever it is, and whatever the removal spell is. That doesn't even get us either. So, this is actually not a great position for our opponent. They do have Cryptic Command mana open now. But we're about to draw a Thoughtseize. I sure hope they let me go to my... Alright, this makes, yeah. The Lightning Bolt coming in. I did not expect to get to my main phase there. Well, not the end of the world. I let the Bolt resolve. I relic it away. Yeah, I guess we'll fire off this Thoughtseize on our opponent and see what's up. But yeah, I'm just going to keep trying to win this one. I think we can just keep... I think we can keep putting the pressure on here, just using Matron for another Snoop next turn. Which still does... I mean, that doesn't win for several more turns, but look, we're Thoughtseizing our opponent here. They're going to go down to one card and... Oh my gosh. Never mind. I was going to say... Woo! I was going to say, they're going to go down to one card in hand, and they might just not have anything, but it turns out their hand was actually 2 Aether Gusts. Pretty good. The thing is, though, we're not in imminent danger of dying to the Thing in the Ice, provided we don't get a little bit unlucky with what our opponent draws and so on. But we might be able to just kind of, you know, work our way to even a fair win here. Aether Gust on Goblin Matron, not really where you want to be, so sort of the value train is already rolling here for us. Get a Snoop. So the thing to remember here, I'm going to go ahead and do this right now. The thing to remember... My opponent says, good content. And I said, thanks. I'm recording this one. Okay, so we get rid of that out of the graveyard. We keep this here. Even if they Aether Gust it, that basically amounts to sort of a nothing turn for them. If it gets a counter off the Thing in the Ice, and that's basically it. You know, meanwhile, all that happens for us is, wow, now we have some, well, this is actually a duplicate combo piece, so that doesn't quite work the way we want it to. But we just got to keep putting the pressure on our opponent is all. Even if it's just playing a 3/3 Grumgully to beat down, I mean, that's, I mean, I guess that's basically what our plan's going to be, but you got to start somewhere. Alright, I would like to put that on top. And I'd like to pass the turn back here. Okay, well, we're not out of the woods here, even though we're ahead on cards, because Thing in the Ice is getting dangerously close, I'd say, to transforming. So, not that that necessarily beats us, but if we can make it one more combat, I'd be pretty happy. Alright, Grumgully, the battlefield. Alright, let's try this. Again. Try this one more time. I can still keep it on 3. Unfortunately, we will not be able to hit this Aether Gust immediately. My opponent has a Scalding Tarn instead. And given that we've played this entire game on 2 lands as a result of not drawing lands, but also sending things back to the top of our library, we've got some ground to make up with the land drops. If our opponent were to, for instance, Archmage's Charm this Aether Vial again, we'd be in a lot of trouble, but the Relic can hopefully later eventually cycle for us. But yeah, I guess the play is to run out the Snoop and see what happens there. Ah, look at that. You know what? That's actually... Thinking this one through now... Skirk Prospector goes infinite. We're still a ways away, aren't we? That's infinite mana? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think through what we actually have here. Skirk Prospector, Grumgully, and then a Persist creature is infinite. So I could Harbinger for the persist creature and so on, but I don't think we're quite there yet anyways. So our opponent's only got one card in hand right now. It's a Mystic Sanctuary. Or they're fetching a Mystic Sanctuary. Unfortunately, I cannot exile the Aether Gust. We don't have the mana. So I'll hit a card here. Aether Gust is going to go... Oh, they're going to Snapcast it. This game's been all over the place, huh? Alright, sure. You know, our opponent didn't even need to do this. In fact, what are they doing? Okay. And they're going to hit our Snoop again. Alright, well that puts the thing in the ice on 1. But it also exiles the Aether Gust. Our opponent didn't have to do that. The Aether Gust was going to get put back on top of their library. I guess, obviously, they just needed to do it immediately, though. So, I suppose this doesn't make a huge difference. We'll put it back on top of our library. All I see now is my opponent has no cards in hand and an 0-4 and a 2-1 in play. I'm feeling pretty good here. We now know the top 2 cards of our library. And I do not want to play this Harbinger, because I don't actually want to do anything with my Vial here, so we're kind of not really getting anywhere right now. But that's fine. It's also not like our opponent, when they do transform this thing, yeah, they get to bounce their Snapcaster, so that's value, but they'll also be bouncing my Matron. They don't really want to do that. As if anything, I should be worried about my clock here, right? This has been a great match, though, for real. Okay, do not want to use this ability. Would like to draw this Snoop and play it for, what, the 3rd, 4th time this game? And in fact, I don't even want to attack, because at first I was like, oh, I'll attack with both. The Goblin Matron would trade. That's fine, that's great, but that's actually not what we want to do, because if my opponent transforms Sing in the Ice, I would like that Matron back in my hand, ready to immediately Vial in, chump block if need be, and go get something. So, also interesting, though. I mean, it's also just as simple as this, although our opponent doesn't know it. If they just draw a land here, the game's over. We're going to untap and we're going to win with the Snoop and the Harbinger. So, yeah, there's a long way to go for our opponent here. That they need not land to be in this game. Looks like they succeeded in that. They're filtering into red here. They're going to abrade my Vial. Oh, that actually beats us. Well, okay. Well, the good news, at least, is that, I guess if there's any good news here, the thing in the ice is going to trigger first. So I am going to get to Vial something in. The problem is that we have so little mana now. This is where we get punished for just not drawing lands the entire game. But, alright, things back to our hand. Do I have other options here? I really only get one thing, right? So, that Skirk Prospector, by the way, we're not going to draw here. He's going to be shuffling no matter what. But, so Metallic Mimic and Grumgully both work. This costs 2 mana. I could use this to go get the Putrid Goblin. I could also go get the Murderous Redcap. I wonder if the line is to get the Murderous Redcap so that I can... Well, that costs 4 mana, though, is the problem. Alternatively, I put Grumgully into play, then I put Snoop into play, and then I'm just kind of got multiple combo pieces. Maybe that's better. Grumgully also lets the beatdown plan be a little better. I mean, maybe we can... I mean, that's probably not a real thing, but... I much would have preferred my opponent to just miss there, that's for sure, because now they get to Snapcaster or Braid and hit either my Grumgully or my Relic, so... Probably the Grumgully, which I guess isn't the end of the world for us. In fact, it almost just bites the bullet because we have the Metallic Mimic doing the same thing. Problem is, I guess it's pretty much as simple as this, though. We have 2 draw steps, and our opponent is still empty-handed. So if we just draw a land, we still have the win. So just give me a land. Skirk Prospector, huh? Okay. close. I think this is the one I have to do, though. This is rough. Gosh, we're not going to draw a land. Well, the chump blocking will begin next turn, I guess. We have to go to 1, 2 here. My opponent just draw out of it, though. Now, YouTube comments will let me know if there's a way I could have won this one. Oh, they're going to draw 2. Okay. I don't know. I feel like my lines have mostly been good. But the draws have not quite worked out, though. That's for sure. And we got to take the 9. Because on that turn, I could have gone, say, Metallic Mimic, and I could have untapped. But I feel like the only way we were actually going to win was to play the Snoop, hope that they missed, and then we drew land on turn 14 or whatever. This was a rough way to go, I'll say that. Not that we're dead yet. Just very close to it is all. Look at these draws. That's crazy. Well. Well, we have to crack. We just have. The only way we're going to win this game. And we can't win. Then we need 2 blockers, and we can't get them. Feels bad. We needed 2 blockers or 1 more life in this game to have a shot, because we could have chump blocked the Awoken Horror, taken 2, but now we have no way of doing that and surviving. We're actually just dead. So draw Vial, play Vial, chump block here, still dead. Play Mimic, double chump block. I'm still dead at that point. The only way I think we really could have gotten there. Huh. Yeah, I think the only way we could have gotten there was to cycle this, draw land, place Prospector, block, and then I guess have another 1-drop. I think we're pretty much just dead here. What a rough way to go. Just sitting here on... I think we had this in our opening hand. We just never had a 3rd land. Well, that's the way it goes sometimes. GG's. All right. This is a keeper for us. Our opponent's on the Street Wave playing over there. But look at this. Skirk Prospector, Metallic Moon, Goblin Matron, Murderous Redcap. This is it, right? These 3 cards, they win the game. So I don't suspect we'll get a chance to resolve all of those. As you can see, here comes the Inquisition. But if you're my opponent, what are you going to Inquisition out of this hand? I think the Mimic's probably the play. Now, obviously, just having removal would change a little bit. Because then they don't care as much. And, I mean, heck, if they're a Blood Crypt Street Wraith deck with Inquisitions, it's safe to say there's Fatal Pushes in there as well. But this is a hand of a lot of value, no matter how you look at it. So... a lot of different combo pieces for us that also all happen to fit together in this neat little Goblin beatdown umbrella. And they took the Mimic. Or, I'm sorry, they took the Matron. They took the not combo piece of the bunch. And there's another land. That's also fairly relevant. Land number 3. Means we can get a little closer to casting this Redcap in this Sling-Gang. But it now means that there's basically very few bad draws in our deck. The 4-drops... the Kiki-Jiki. That's a handful of cards. Those are the bad draws. But it means a land is good for us, and it means a non-land card means we can probably cast it. So hopefully we can be mana efficient for the rest of the game here. I mean, in a perfect world, my opponent ignores the Skirk Prospector and the Mimic. It doesn't realize that it's just an in-hand combo, but yeah, we'll see how lucky you can get on that. I don't know what you can reasonably expect. I mean, surely they're sitting on some kind of removal. So let's see. Skirk Prospector beatdown goes pretty well. Grixis Death Shadow. Seems like we're playing against. Go get this mountain here. Run out this Mimic. don't know if my opponent has Terminate or just a mana leak or what over there, but they obviously have something because they held priority, I believe, there. They thought about it, so might also just be a cantrip or something. Wow, nothing. Nothing on the end step, huh? Well, I have to say, maybe that gives me a little bit of hope here. That's something. Because now it's a position where if they continue to kind of do nothing, then who knows? Maybe they tap out for a creature or something. And then we kind of just get them. And there's a Munitions Expert. So that actually means we can try to win the game next turn, depending on what they do. Because we can flash a Munitions Expert in the end step. We can then untap. And even if we only have these 3 lands, I can use the Skirk Prospector to sack the Munitions Expert, add a mana. Now, as you can see, that's not how this is going to work out, as our opponent has a Fatal Push, but so be it. And the Thought Scour, okay. It's still not the end of the world for us. The Sling-Gangs, the Redcap, they're at 9. I mean, Death Shadow only does so much here if we can get to a 4th mana or... We'll see what happens if they do play a Shadow here. It's going to be a real interesting game. I might end up doing something crazy like throwing away this Skirk Prospector just to make a make the mana for Sling-Gang here. So that, because if double Sling-Gang, this Munitions Expert can actually do pretty big amounts of damage. So maybe we play this game slightly differently. As a matter of fact, maybe I just Thoughtseize my opponent right now. Now, this takes a long time to kill us, right? Zombie Fish 5/5. I'll worry about this thing later. Let's attack their hand. Now, my opponent might Stubborn Denial this one. Honestly, they should. There's not exactly a lot of non-creature spells in my deck that they're going to hit. So Stubborn Denial doesn't hit this. It's not going to hit anything. It does hit this, as you might have guessed. All right, well, we got to put off the choice for that turn by drawing that Thoughtseize. I don't know. This is a tough game. Land there would have been obviously much better. And they're putting themselves down to 7. So these Sling-Gangs are going to do some work. I suspect the Death Shadow will be following, but Death Shadow is a great card, but without a Team or Battle Rage, a couple Sling-Gang Lieutenants will give it fits. I mean, heck, even this Murderous Redcap. There's an Auntie's Hovel. There we go. We're getting somewhere, everybody. Let's see if I even get a poke in one more damage here. Doesn't seem like much. My opponent's probably like, great, now my thing's bigger, but we'll see, I guess. Sling-Gang Lieutenant, get in there. Now we'll find out, I suppose, if there's actual counter spells or just Stubborn Denials, as I think it's been the default for Grixis Shadow for a while. I mean, Modern is in such a different state these days with the Eurofest and so on, and the Primeval Titan decks that they might run actual hard counter magic these days. Snapcaster Mage ain't it, though. And as a matter of fact, Snapcaster Mage on Stubborn Denial, friend, that's not going to work how you want it to. Sling-Gang going to hit the field. That's what I like to see. We'll take it. I mean, if they don't have a Shadow, which at this point they're basically telegraphing that they don't, I don't know what they were going to do to win. The Snapcaster Mage, they just needed to be mana efficient anyways. Obviously, they wanted to Stubborn Denial something, but they've got to spend their mana because now they're at 6 and we have Drain of 4 in play with another one to follow. So, frankly, the game might just be over for them. It'd be great to take down Grixis Shadow. Grixis Shadow, when you play this crazy with your life, they're just dead on board now. But they're dead anyways if they do nothing, so I understand. Yeah, without the Death Shadow, these decks can look pretty silly, especially when Stubborn Denial isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card like it is with Gurmag Anger against a lot of decks. Against us? Against Sling-Gang Lieutenant? Not very good. I'll let them think this one through. There's your Death Shadow. I'm going to make it big. I'm going to make it a 13-13, as a matter of fact. I don't want to do this quite yet just because my opponent hasn't scooped despite it being on board, which obviously is a suggestion that they have an answer. You know how it is. So, not a slow roll, but if you're not scooping to onboard lethal, well, I'm going to figure out why first, right? And we're just going to Go ahead and play the second Sling-Gang and see what happens. This resolves, obviously start throwing some tokens their way. Alright, good enough. Maybe they're going to bust out the instant speed life gain. Maybe not. Maybe we're just going to go to distance with Sling-Gang Lieutenant here. I love this card. What a great modern card, Sling-Gang Lieutenant. I wish some more of these Modern Horizons cards that are fair, but good, kind of like the ones we're playing in this deck, had gotten a little more time to shine in the sun, basically, because they, Hogak, Throne of Eldraine, Oko, it's just been an entire run ever since Modern Horizons that something like Goblin Matron and Sling-Gang Lieutenant, which were really nice additions to the format, Ringleader never really got a chance to shine. Maybe this will be it. I certainly hope so. So let's get the Blood Moons in there, and let's definitely get these relics in there. And Boil is okay here. I don't know if I really want Boil, though. They operate on so little mana anyways. What don't I want? The Munitions Experts are pretty medium. I will keep one. And cut the vials. Cut most of the vials anyways. How about that? Let's try something like this. Against a grindy deck, the vials are pretty medium. I think I'm into this hand, though. Now, this hand is very slow and, frankly, very medium. But, I mean, heck, these are good cards on their own, right? Maybe we'll draw the supporting pieces. You know, the Snoops, for instance, to go along with the Harbinger. That would be nice. But even if not, I suppose. I mean, these are all value cards. They interact okay with removal by the fact that they dodge Fatal Push without Revolt. And they get Thoughtseize, they get Thoughtseize. I don't know what you take. I assume you take the Sling-Gang since it just killed you. Sling-Gang is also just generically very good against the Death Shadow deck because it makes 3 bodies when it comes into play. But Harbinger is a combo piece and a tutor on top of that. It's a tough call. And they're certainly going to think about it. And the answer is, in fact, the Boggart Harbinger. So I have to say that's fine with me. That card's good, but I mean, let's be honest. No one's ever played that card until it became a combo piece, and no one ever would. So not surprising. And if something's got to get Thoughtseized, I think I'm okay with that. And actually, right, just got to think about that for a minute. A card that has existed for, I don't know, 10, 12 years, however long that card's existed, never been played, never even people considered playing Boggart Harbinger. Snoop gets printed, and here it is. Opponents are Thoughtseize in it, even when you don't have the other combo half. So I love that about Magic, and I love that about these older formats. So when it's all Uros and Wilderness Reclamations and Field of the Deads and Agent of Treacheries and Winotas and all these new cards that I see in Standard, I don't like that. What I do like is when a new card like Snoop makes an old, crazy card you would never play otherwise something that your opponent Thoughtseizes. That's just neat. That's the appeal of older formats, I think, to a lot of people. Meanwhile, back to this game. Our opponent very quickly down to 10. It is turn 2 after all. Let's see if they have the Death Shadow to follow it up. Thought Scour, sure. It seems like it might be a Death Shadow to me. Oh, a Gurmag Angler, okay. Only a turn 2 5/5. Remember when Tarmogoyf was good? Well, let's see what we do about that. That's so insane. I actually have turn 1 Graveyard Hate and I still couldn't stop it. And the things you don't love about Magic. Oh, man. Well, I guess we passed the turn back. At least it's only a Gurmag. At least it's not a Death Shadow. And double Sling-Gang might just, if our opponent had the Death Shadow. One would assume they played the Death Shadow last, or maybe not if they're like worried about it being a 3/3 and getting lightning bolted or something. But okay, well, here comes the Thoughtseize, putting him down to 8. But I was going to say, double Sling-Gang against an opponent putting themselves down to 10, 8 life. Well, that's pretty good regardless of what their payoffs are for having such low life. And they took the Pashalik Mons. I think I'm saying that correctly anyways. But it was our 3-drop after all. I'll grant you that. But I don't know if it was particularly a powerful one in this circumstance. Let's make sure we can cast Grumgully should we draw it. Alright, down to 13. I'd really kind of like to have a play on my 3rd turn, so I'm going to crack this. Well, that technically counts as a play. That's a play. Wow, I have the land too. I'm make my opponent beat 3. Oh, I actually think I boarded out a Sling-Gang Lieutenant. That's kind of funny. But I made my opponent beat the Sling-Gangs. I'll just play 3 Sling-Gangs and just burn you out a little at a time. I actually think we might have boarded one out though when we trimmed some stuff. Maybe I shouldn't have. My thought was, you know, between the tutors and the 2 of them, we probably don't need to cast more than 2 of them. But in this particular circumstance where 2 are already in my hand, I would love to go fetch up a 3rd one right now. Probably not going to be able to do that. I'm going to figure out how I sideboarded here. Yeah. As expected, that does not, in fact, work. But depending on how much pressure we think we're under, I could do something else. Thing is, I have Redcap, and I have Skirk Prospector. The Snoop only combos when the Harbinger's on top, or rather in your hand, you can play it after. That's not the case here. I mean, I think the double Sling-Gang is going to be good enough, but what do we die to? We die to the Temur Battle Rage, basically. Even then, gosh, we really don't die that hard to that. I'm going to take the Ringleader. I love this little toolboxy deck where it's not clear always what you want to get, but I think I like getting the Ringleader here. Because I'm going to play Sling-Gangs, and I mean, maybe my opponent beats them, maybe they don't, but if they do, it's going to be with a bunch of removal and a low life total. I'll refill my hand with a hasty creature. And just try to get there that way. Make them. That's another angle we can attack on. Not only is it going to give us the card advantage refill, hopefully. It's a 2/2 with haste, which is kind of relevant when you're playing around at 8 life, right? But this game's 100% Temur Battle Rage headed, I think, right now. Like, that's what matters in this game, because this Gurmag Angler attacks us down to 8. That's not going to kill us. The Death Shadow will be massive. That doesn't matter when we have the Sling-Gangs. All that matters is whether we resolve these spells and whether my opponent resolves the Temur Battle Rage. That's what this game is about right now. Let's hope they don't have it. They did not mill any away this time. Alright, well, let's see what their big play is, because they had the ability to get one of these Sling-Gangs out of my hand earlier. They didn't do it. They took the Pashalik Mons instead, I guess, to try to deny me a play on my 3rd turn. Unfortunately for them, we were able to find one, and okay, sure. Sure, Thought Scour me because I put a card on top. I understand. Nice play. Nice play. Although, this actually stops me mid-combo. Actually stops me mid-combo as well. That's pretty funny. Not particularly relevant in this case, but it is pretty funny. Alright, let's get in there. I guess maybe it was actually correct to play the Sling-Gang pre-combat. I probably would have attacked no matter what. Well, let's see if this resolves. This is very close to just lethal by itself, right? That's 4 already. They're at 6, so Sling-Gang resolves, they're in a lot of trouble. They are tapping mana. Do they have an actual counterspell for this? You know, counterspell into attack into lightning bolt me. That would kill me before I even get to try the second Sling-Gang here. I love this art. Look at this thing. It's slinging the gang. Or in this case, I can't tell if that's like a child because it's small, or if it's just a, it's not big because it's a goblin and it's sitting in a catapult. But I gotta say, it's cool, right? Not a catapult. What am I saying? A sling. Not exactly a catapult. Meanwhile, my opponent tapping mana here, wishing, I think, that Stubborn Denial in their hand was a Sling-Gang Lieutenant counterspell. It was not. Sling-Gang resolves. I think we might be doing all right here. I like they're showing me that they can't actually cast the Stubborn Denial to show me that they have it. But I like that they had the mana just to send the message across. I mean, look, when you have a combo deck that combos almost entirely with creatures, and not only does it combo with creatures, it doesn't play your Court of Callings, your Collected Companies. These cards that you do get with Stubborn Denial, you just spend 4 mana on your Sling-Gang Lieutenant. Well, Stubborn Denial doesn't do anything about that. This one might be in the books, though. Honestly, we even beat a Temur Battle Rage? I'll put 2 goblins in front of it. Well, I'd start by putting a goblin in front of it. I guess it's the same thing. It deals 10, whether they block or not. It deals 10, I can go up to 11, putting them down to 3, play another Sling-Gang and win the game. So, I believe my opponent needs... I don't know. Actually, the answer... Plague Engineer might be the answer. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, Plague Engineer is probably going to beat me, actually. This card's unbeatable for Goblins. It just is. This game is unlosable to basically anything but Plague Engineer. I could easily beat a Wrath, but I can't beat a Plague Engineer. Well, I found out why you don't play Goblins. This card is nuts. I actually like this card. I think it's probably good for the format. It's just particularly unbeatable for Goblins. Something like Humans, it's good against, and I like it there, but Humans isn't full of all X1s, whereas our deck very much is. Even our 4-drops are 1-powered. I don't know how we're going to beat... They're at 2, and I don't know how we're going to win. We just cannot play cards. Grumgully, I guess, is the out. Otherwise, we're just dead, though. I mean, they have actual lethal on board. So the way this works with Sling-Gang... Redcap? Does that do it? No, it comes into play, it deals 1 damage. And then it doesn't come back into play. We can put them to 1. Of all the things we can do, we can put them to 1. This is an ability you have to use... And the problem is the Sling-Gang will die to state-based effects as soon as it enters play. It doesn't work, suffice to say. I rhymed. Look at that. I rhymed as we go. At least I can entertain you while we die here. This Redcap puts them to a miserable 1 life. At which point we chump block this. It doesn't come back. I think we're literally dead. I don't think we have any way to win, but I guess I'll give it a shot. It's just unreal what Plague Engineer does to this deck. Went from can't lose the game to can't win the game with a 3-mana 2/2. Rough. Grumgully would get us there. Would persist back as a 1/1, I think. I think that would work because it comes into play with the counter. It doesn't put the counter on it. It comes into play. So when it died to state-based effects, it would actually just come back as a 1/1, but... I guess our only hope is that our opponent doesn't quite realize it, because if they just come slamming in with the team, we are quite dead. You know what? That's not the team. That's a 5/5. I won't block. Oh, they should have the Battle Rage anyways. Alright, we were never winning that one then. Well, I take that. We were literally winning that game before the Plague Engineer hit, but not much we can do about that. The card just... I mean, look at what we have here. We just can't beat the card. I don't even know what your deck would do because you have to stop it from entering play. It's not good enough to kill it once it's in play. It's already wiped your board by then. I mean, you could maybe start playing some Lords that give your creatures +1/+1s and are themselves 2/2s. Otherwise, you maybe just don't beat it, I think. Alright, well, let's see what we can do here. I would like to play first. I would like to mulligan this hand. Shabbat at turn 3 winning, and I will keep this one. I will happily throw that Kiki back on my deck. This is... I don't know about this hand, but it is the hand we have, so let's Inquisition them. This Inquisition will probably be taking their own Inquisition, but mulliganing to 6 against a deck like this is very bad for us, and I don't even know how we're supposed to... They have 1 land. Are we supposed to take the Bauble and hope that they never find lands? I guess the answer is take the Shadow, but we're going to have to draw very well here. You know, they're unlikely to miss their land drops because their deck gets to play multiple free cantrips. So we can hope, but that's probably not going to happen. They're an Inquisition, one of these Metallic Mimics away, and just like that, it's going to be turn 2, and we're going to have 1 spell. So that's difficult. That's a hard one to come back from. And that is kind of the thing, you know, with this deck. I talked about Collected Company Quarter Callings. The advantage is that we don't lose to Stubborn Denial, right? Hitting those cards or sort of whatever else would fit that role. But we also don't have any of those cards to come back from games like this, where you get mulliganed, you get Thoughtseized, and you're just out of the game. I do not know how we are going to defeat everything that they have going on here. They've taken 5 game actions, and it's turn 1. Yep, sure thing. Alright, I believe we know 3 of the 4 cards in their hand. And now we know 2 of the 3. Alright. Metallic Mimic down. I guess the only thing going for us is that they don't have removal in hand that we know about, right? And they only have 1 card we don't know. They don't have creatures. So if we just draw, great. We'll just draw Snoop into Harbinger here and win the game, right? That's all possible. Except, oh, my opponent, by the way, is about to have 5 cards in hand. And there's a Thoughtseize as well. I guess I'm going to play the Snoop, or the Mimic, rather. I'll hit the roll Silence out of their hand next turn with the Thoughtseize, I guess. That or they have a fetch into a Death Shadow and the game's just over on turn 2, but that's what that's what that deck does. So you can't be too salty when they have 2 good draws and it happens. Alright, let's see what it is. They literally did take 5 game actions on turn 1. Whereas silly me, all I did was attack there. All I did was play interaction on turn 1. Not the way to go, it seems. Alright, well, they're shocking down to 13 here. What's the play going to be? 2 mana for a Gurmag Angler. Yep. Gotta love turn 1 attack your hand, turn 2 play a 5/5. That's a Snoop, though. More than that's a Snoop, actually. That's a Snoop we can protect with a Thoughtseize. Maybe we'll get lucky here. Let's just see. I mean, let's see how terrifying their hand is. Well, I can leave them Thoughtseize. And, wow, their hand's not very good. Outside of the Temur Battle Rages that are going to kill us. But we're going to have, I guess, a draw step. It's the poker saying would be a chip in a chair. In this case, sure, our opponent kills us in what? A turn? 2 turns? But with the Snoop, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll put cards on top of our deck we can't even play. There's exactly 1 card in the deck that we couldn't play there, and that's the one we hit. Oof. Sometimes you don't run so good. Alright, well, bring on the 5/5. The good news is if there is a Goblin on top of our deck we can cast, we still get to do something for our turn. Otherwise, this puts us to 13. My opponent should, frankly, probably just Battle Strike this thing now. Just do it twice and win the game on turn 4. Yep, and they're going to do it. Yeah, we're just probably going to die to this. Oh my gosh. Sometimes you just run really well, right? Sometimes you just run well. So we're dead? We're actually dead. Yeah. I can block. I can go to 1. But then we can't play Sling-Gang Lieutenant. We'll have 2 uncastable cards in hand. GG's. Alright, so looking back in on combo Goblins here after the games, I have to say, I was pretty happy with the deck. Some of our games went better than others. Obviously, we picked up some wins in there. We had some losses as well. But almost all of our games were super close. I was happy here. Things that I liked. I liked having access to this Pashalik Mons here. This is actually a payoff for Infinite Red Mana, which, you know, is something that could come up a few times. It's a payoff for that. And it's one you can go fetch with your Goblin Matron. So it allows you to turn your Skirk Prospector combo of Infinite Red Mana with a Matron into a win. So I like that. What I also would probably do is find a way to get a 22nd land in here. Probably another fetch land. It was kind of awkward even in games where, you know, our deck plays Blood Moon, but we actually got hit by Blood Moon a few times there. But outside of that, honestly, I was fairly happy with it. You know, I think you probably have some room to trim on some numbers here to play around. You know, in a certain metagame, you might want more Munitions Experts and maybe fewer Skirk Prospectors, right? Maybe you want more hand disruption. I think the sideboard could probably use some work. I think specifically I would have liked to have seen something like Collective Brutality in there for a red matchup. It's a nice flexible card. Something else. So you could obviously the sideboard you always tailor it to whatever you want. I might have felt a lot differently if we ever got to use the Plague Engineers, right? So that's the way it goes. I have to say though, pretty happy with this deck. Would not change a lot outside of adding another fetch land in here. Probably for a Skirk Prospector. But you could also maybe cut down on the Sling-Gang Lieutenant. You do have a lot of 4s already in this deck. If you don't want to, you know, or you can cut the Ringleader, right? It just depends how you value the tutor aspect of the deck versus sort of the consistency aspect of the deck. But all in all, combo Goblins, real deck in Modern, I think. Very excited about this one moving forward. I won't lie, I'm probably going to keep playing this one a little on my own. So everybody, thank you for watching Mining Modern. I'll see you next week.